Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to tell you about a card game I made up as a child. It's absurdly easy to play, there's almost no skill involved, and yet as an adult I've still had fun playing it with other people. This might sound boring, and I really hope it isn't, but let me explain the story of World War. Before we can talk about whatever World War is, we have to know what war is. I've never looked up any formal set of rules for war, but there's no time like the present. According to Bicycle Cards, these are the rules of war. The deck is shuffled and dealt evenly between two players, one card at a time, face down. Nothing special so far. Each round of the game follows a simple pattern. Both players simultaneously put down their top card face up, and whichever has the higher value wins. If both cards have the same value, you flip an additional card until the tie is broken. Upon winning, a player takes both cards and adds them to the bottom of their pile. At some point, one player will run out of cards, and that player loses. The other player will therefore have every card, and that player wins. Hey guys, Editing Olive here. I have a small point to make that I didn't write into the script. You'll see on the screen here that there's the instructions that I've had displayed for the whole time I was just talking, and it mentions that if you tie, it is war, and all this stuff happens. The bicycle rules, as I'm reading them right now, say that each player puts one card face down and one up, and if you have the higher face up card, you take everything. If they tie, you go again, and etc. That's not a rule that I had ever played by before. As a kid, we always just broke a tie by, let's say, you had a king, and I had a king. We both have a king. We would take the next card from our pile, pop it down, and whoever had the higher one of those wins. If you tie, you do one more, until someone wins, they take everything, and you go again. What's interesting is that while I was recording my gameplay with my roommate, which you'll see, either you've seen it already, or you'll see it shortly, I'm not sure yet, but you'll see it, he was very familiar with a slightly different tiebreaker rule, which was that if you tie, you put down 3 face down cards each that aren't even counted. They're just like high stakes, and then you battle with the next one you pull. And then if that one ties, you do 3 more face down and 1 more face up. So it's kind of like an even higher stakes version of the one that Bicycle lists on their website. I thought that was interesting, and when you see the gameplay video, I don't know how much of it I'll show in sequence, but sometimes when we tied, we did his way that I just described, and sometimes when we tied, we did my way, where you just fight with the next card until you break the tie, and then you take those, which is lower stakes. Some of my criticisms of regular war kind of hinge on the fact that tiebreakers are boring, so that's where I'm coming from with that. Enjoy the rest of the video. This is a pretty simple game. Easy to play, no strategy involved, but it generates suspense as you await the 50-50 shot at victory or failure. However, this game has a few flaws, in my opinion. First, and also least importantly, this game has a very idealistic view of war. If each player in their pile is an army, the way war is played assumes that soldiers patiently wait to fight one-on-one, pair after pair. This already isn't the case, but the game goes further by suggesting that, should 2 opposing soldiers be evenly matched, that only 1 extra soldier will come to assist from each side at a time. That's way too well structured to be a good analog for warfare. Second, this game's only variation occurs when there's a tie, or more specifically, when both players draw a card that's equal in value. The players have no control over which card they place down, so this happens purely by random chance, with no illusion of strategy or intent. To break the tie, the same game of chance is played again. The suspense generated by each card pulled gets old quickly, at least in my experience, because the players are almost like an accessory to the game. And that brings me into my third point. This game is draining. That might sound drastic, but let me explain. Each card pull is random, and only 1 card is pulled at a time. This means that neither player can strategize about what card to put down or what their opponent might be putting down. Furthermore, when you win a round, you add the cards to the bottom of your pile. This means that at a certain point, one player's pile will tend to be comically larger than the others until that player has all the cards and wins the game. This can be demoralizing for the loser, as they have to watch their pile dwindle away round after round. It's not a very fun prospect. I think you're winning now.
Unfortunately.
Wait, okay, count how many cards you have.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26,
27, 28, which means that I counted wrong. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to give you one card. Okay. So we both have 26. And let's just stack them up. And then you just snake.
Okay.
Good job. So we've talked about war and some of the issues with its gameplay. I'm not going to pretend that I did all of this analysis as a kid, but when I got tired of playing war with the kids at school, I tried to come up with a way to make it more interesting and slightly less random. Meet World War, a derivative game that fixes all of my personal issues with its source material. It's played like this. The deck is shuffled and dealt evenly between two players, one at a time, face down. At the start of a round, each player will pull the first 4 cards off the top of their pile and hold them in their hand. You must then place each card face down in a horizontal row as shown, although you can choose which order they go in. Both players simultaneously reveal each pair of cards one after the other, and the card with the highest value in each pair wins. They don't know anything about the other player's cards, but that's fairly normal as far as card games go when you're not counting. This allows room for some mind games, which I can demonstrate here. Let's say you get this hand, an ace and 3 other lower value cards. And you've decided beforehand with the other player that aces are considered high, meaning they're the highest value card. At this point in the game, you might have noticed that your opponent tends to put their highest value card first, probably because they're excited to beat you ASAP. Knowing this, you can put your ace first, as it's the highest valued card and will give you a good chance at knocking out your opponent's best offering right off the bat. This is already infinitely more strategy than war could ever have, and I haven't even explored all the different possibilities from that one scenario. Being able to put thought into the timing of your higher or lower cards gives you some control over whether or not you win, and lets both players play to each other's weaknesses. Also, because more cards are played at once, rounds go faster, with ties being just as common, so when you actually come across a tie, it can interject the flow of a round and make things more interesting. My third point from before doesn't apply to World War nearly as much as it does to war. I feel like war is draining because you have no way to control whether you win or lose, and losing forces you to watch the other player collect your cards in the only pile that they have. In World War, one player does collect more cards than the other, but both players run out of their playing pile at the same time. This makes it less obvious who's winning near the end of the game, and also allows each game to take a roughly equal amount of time. Ultimately, this means that you don't end up getting burnt out mid-round, flipping cards to end the game as soon as possible. That's a problem that I've encountered with war many times, and one of the main reasons I came up with World War in the first place. So you may be asking, why does this matter? The short answer is, it doesn't. War isn't a very popular card game, and I feel like very few people are likely to have asked for a better and less predictable version. The long answer is, this game is insanely simple, almost as simple as the original War, and therefore it's easy to pick up and play with anyone. It does have strategy, but that strategy is almost entirely confined to each round. If you want to be very, very good at winning, you'll count cards as they're revealed and determine whether you're likely to win or lose, but even then it's all up to chance as you can't see your deck more than 4 cards at a time. That means that people with all levels of experience playing cards are on a mostly even playing field in World War, which as far as accessibility is concerned places it far ahead of other more complicated card games. If you're hearing this, thank you for watching the whole video. I'm not sure how long it's going to be, but I hope this was interesting in some way beyond just being a pitch for a game I'm not selling. If you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you like this format of video, check out my previous video essay on Mr. Game & Watch from Super Smash Bros. There's a link in the description. Also, please check out Jan Miseli's Hangman is a Weird Game, an entirely unrelated video that, if you watch it, is very obviously what inspired this video and my vocal delivery throughout. Thanks, Miseli, and thank you for watching. See you next time.